What does living in a big city really mean? Great opportunities and big chances, but also the rhythm of chaos and the modern-day plague, depression. Giving a helping hand to those in danger of going over the edge in a new documentary on Russia Today. Moscow, Russia's capital, provides more opportunities for a successful career than anywhere else in the country. Many come here to seek a happy life, but not everyone is that lucky. A big city gives you not only big chances, but also creates big pressures, including psychological ones. The Moscow Rescue Service is a center which receives information about potential suicides or people who have actually taken their own lives, and it proves its worth making a call. This is the scene of an attempted suicide. The woman wanted to hang herself. She wouldn't open her front door, so the rescue crew had to go in through a window. They were just in time. The woman had intended to take her own life using a dog leash. A psychologist found out later she was driven to despair because her relatives failed to understand her. She had constant fights with her mother as well. Statistics show that women attempt suicide more often than men. Psychologists say that women are also concerned about how their bodies will look after the event. This is why they choose safe but ineffective methods and often escape death. Olga Bobrova is a professional psychologist at the Moscow Rescue Service. She says sometimes you can talk a potential victim out of killing themselves over the phone. If someone makes a call, they must have doubts, and doubt means there's a chance of survival.
Hello, it's Moscow Rescue Service, line 227. The crucial thing for any person that has made a choice in their life or is making up their mind about something is to tell or to help them see that the idea of the future might be much better, much brighter, and it all depends on the individual.
According to psychologists, depression, the plague of the big city, is behind most suicide attempts. Depression is the driving force. The irony is that many Moscow residents have faced it for many different reasons.
Too many people, too many cars, more than Moscow can digest. And the buildings are high, strange as it might seem.
Money rules the world. The golden calf marches on, crushing men with its millstones.
You've got to hustle, you know, work in the morning, studies in the evening, and the day is gone. No spare time at all. That's when the depression sets in.
Psychologist Svetlana Mardayan has her own reasons for feeling depressed. She works in a large grey office, which more often than not sits under a leaden sky. She spends all of her time in one room. But as her working day begins, she has to put all of her problems aside to be able to help others. Those people who call from dusk till dawn.
Hello, it's the Moscow helpline. Excuse me, what is your name? Alexei, fine. How old are you?
The lonely, the disabled, the elderly. These are the groups who make the most calls to the helpline. But sometimes they receive cries for help from people who are married, successful, and young.
You say the sun. You're used to the sun, aren't you? Well, you might have heard there is a seasonal depression. So you now feel like you might have this.
Svetlana says that some people find it easier to share their problems with a psychologist who can't see them and who is invisible to them as well, rather than with their nearest and dearest. That's why many prefer to call a virtual stranger rather than their spouse, for example.
Each of us has a necessary set of obligatory occupations, such as work, for example. One must work irrespective of wishes and desires. There is a notion of it has to be done on the one hand, and there's another notion of I want to do it on the other hand. Each person should seek to reduce the number of it has to be done to a minimum and increase the number of I want to do it. So both of these notions are on the same level.
Marina Kazieva was born in Siberia. Her lifelong ambition was to move to Moscow, a city where she believed that life was thriving and where she could meet many interesting people. She still loves Moscow, but her hopes for a good life have diminished over the years. In the last decade, she's failed to find an interesting job and earn enough to rent an apartment. She usually stayed with friends who tolerated her for a while, but eventually asked her to leave. She says it's only in Moscow that she's experienced real solitude and understands how to overcome it.
In a big city, everybody tries to survive. Everybody has their own ends. Here, I've encountered numerous cases of treachery, cunning, and the manipulation of others for achieving personal aims. Perhaps all of this happened to me because back home in Siberia, I got used to confiding in everyone.
Despite the hardship, Marina doesn't want to leave Moscow. She dreams about having her own home, an interesting job, and enough money to travel to the seaside every year. She hasn't seen the sea since she was a child. She says the sea calms her mind and soul. She needs this to help relieve her disturbed thoughts.
In your work, just like in anything else, you are too resistant to divine providence, to put it simply.
It's fixed in my brain that if a woman realizes herself as a mother, all the rest isn't important. But that's unacceptable to me.
Psychotherapist Artemy Sychov believes that Marina's main problem is that she has been dissatisfied with her life for many years. He says that Marina herself doesn't believe her life could be better.
Look at things, simply. Can you see this mobile phone? What can you see on it?
It's a screen.
A screen, what else? The buttons. But I don't see them. Does it mean the telephone doesn't exist if we see one and the same object differently? There is no objective reality. Listen to your own discomfort.
Artemy's task is to help Marina overcome her fears, view the world with an open smile, and begin a new life in a big city.
Marina and I spoke about delusion in someone. It's just unacceptable in today's society, where everybody is buttoned up and lives in their own cocoon. Dissipating in someone else means losing your individuality, and losing it means to die. The fear of death.
The number of cars in Moscow increases by 500 every day. Transportation in the city ejects about 1 million tons of pollutants into the atmosphere every year. Moscow residents breathe in this air. Most Muscovites don't take a peaceful walk after work with smiles on their faces. They run home, away from the hustle and bustle of the metropolis. The neon signs on expensive shops and casinos don't promote a good mood. Psychologists believe that such luxuries, which very few can afford, intensifies the feeling of being small in a big city.
Today our class will be devoted to several negative phenomena, which can be seen in the streets and which lie in wait for us because we live in a big city.
Psychologist Natalia Karyagina teaches the art of communication in a group whose members are aged from 16 to 30. The classes are free and can be attended by anyone. For many, this is the only place where one can communicate with peers easily and openly without tormenting thoughts about whether one is better or worse than the others. Here, everyone is equal. Today, the visitors receive an assignment to draw what they don't like about contemporary Moscow. The atmosphere in the group is such that even the most unpleasant things are laughed off and talked about with irony. Huge and identical apartment buildings and a chronic shortage of money are the Muscovites' eternal problems.
When you pack up your things at work before going home in the evening, you see endless traffic jams out of the window. Damn it, if I could only go to the village, to natural surroundings.
The sun is grey-blue because of the smog, and the air, in which thousands of city smells blend, are amongst the everyday realities depicted in their drawings. The next assignment is to draw what they see in their dreams. They are the absolute opposite of noisy city life, a deep and mysterious ocean, and mushrooms gathered in the forest. Someone draws a room under an open sky, as if one could lie down, breathe fresh air, and look at the clouds and stars. Elvira liked Victor's forest dream very much. He was delighted to share it with her.
Well, it's just to relax. I usually stay at home. I don't walk much because I don't have the desire to.
A big city always implies that people are strangers and don't know each other very well. As a result, a feeling of estrangement develops. Sometimes, even after years of living in an apartment building, we still don't know our next-door neighbors. We don't know who lives on the upper and lower floors. This is how isolation starts.
The metro is the most popular mode of public transportation in Moscow. Usually it's much easier to get around on the underground than by road. The Moscow Metro carries about 7 million people a day. Many Muscovites spend 1.5 hours or even more on the underground every day. Psychologists say this isn't good for one's mental health. Many develop claustrophobia after years of metro travel and can't use it anymore. But even those who don't use the metro during the autumn or winter still don't see much sunshine in Moscow. In the winter months, the number of sunny days are few. This contributes to the development of depression. Most dwellers in the grey, so-called sleeping neighborhoods don't ask for psychological help. They prefer to solve the problem as they did in the old days, with their friends. Vodka continues to be a very popular coping mechanism for Russians. Maxim, Sergei, and Ivan say it helps them relax after a stressful working day and trips on the metro. These friends work for the same company, but can't have a heart-to-heart with each other in the office. It just isn't appropriate. At home, in the kitchen, one can pour one's heart out and be given good advice. It may be less professional than that of a psychiatrist, but it's sincere and free of charge. Maxim, Sergei, and Ivan mention another advantage of getting together at home. Psychologists don't serve vodka.
So I become irritated. It was unrealistic and I was simply knocked out. Sorry, darling, I was wrong. After that, she said that it's my own problem. And then she says that everything's over. No, that won't do. No.
You know, the older we grow, the more reserved we become. We become more adequate and predictable. In reality, I wish that an element of childhood could live on in all of us.
Video games are the three friends' favorite pastime. They describe them as active recreation, which is good for their health.
Go ahead and cry like Sharapova.
Okay? Damn it!
She never yells like that.
This tennis racket belonged to the well-known Russian tennis player Yevgeny Kafelnikov. Maxim is a big tennis fan. He says he feels as important as Kafelnikov when he uses the racket.
Max hits strongly from above. Under the net.
Some people visit strip bars, others go to discos. I stay at home, but I get much more satisfaction than if I went to a bar or out looking for adventure. All my adventures are indoors. Maybe I could visualize the people I know in a place of virtual opponents. Anyway, I don't punch them in the face in the office. I just come home and find a sort of discharge in moving around a bit.
Every year, hundreds of thousands of ambitious people come to Moscow from all over Russia. The competition is tough. A lot of different skills are needed for a successful career. For women, beauty is one of the key factors. But lack of money and time are the main problems. As a result, many women are driven to depression, caused by worries about how they look.
When did you last have your hair cut?
It was a long time ago.
Now we won't say how long ago it was. I know you don't have the time. You're all into love, caring and affairs.
Ruslan Tatyanin is a top Russian stylist. It's expensive to have a haircut or makeup done at his salon, but his clients say that it's definitely worth the money. Light and amusing conversation, a good atmosphere. This creates a different reality to the one which usually prevails in the city. Many people believe it's the best remedy for depression. Yelena Kuznetsova went to Ruslan after a lingering cold. Even though her symptoms had calmed down, she felt physically and psychologically weak. She visited him to raise her self-esteem and to restore her self-confidence. Many customers have been going to Ruslan for many years. He knows about their hopes and fears. He makes them look good for every occasion. To many of his customers, he isn't just a stylist, but a psychologist as well. They say Ruslan is like an artist. He creates an image for his female clients. And the external image can sometimes define a client's internal life. It's easier for beautiful and confident women to survive in a big city.
Super as always.
You should control yourself and not overstep the mark, just in case someone thinks I really don't care, that I'm listening to them just because I'm at work and get paid. I believe that such an attitude is boorish and unprofessional. You shouldn't become too involved in your clients' lives and worry about them more than yourself. There are some crazy people who live other people's lives for them and interfere. Maybe they're missing their own lives somehow. After 5 or 10 clients, you may end up in hospital.
When you go to a hairdresser not for the first time, one that you've known for a long time, you feel relaxed. You speak a lot. It's very exciting, and it actually helps you on the inside.
Self-confidence, spiritual and physical harmony. This is what many people in the big cities are missing. Alexei Merkulov was a drug addict. He says he fell into a deep depression following periods of euphoria. He was a step away from death. But he survived and found a partner, Yulia, and gave up all drugs, including alcohol. Now, herbal tea is his family's preferred drink. Alexei managed to change his life radically thanks to a yoga teacher who held classes for drug addicts at a hospital. Alexei says that yoga helped him feel better, to grasp the meaning of his life. Finally, he found peace and harmony in this big city. Alexei Merkulov now teaches Kundalini Yoga. Repeating mantras helps improve concentration and also helps those tired of the city's hustle and bustle. Jogging on the spot relieves physical tension.
A few seconds more. Okay, that's enough.
Alexei says Kundalini Yoga is ideal for city dwellers. It helps release surplus energy, which otherwise wouldn't be used, and also helps to understand where and how to use it best. One shouldn't be ascetic and estrange oneself from life. One should continue with one's daily routine, but with more confidence and harmony, and more strength to meet daily challenges head-on.
Those people who practice yoga first take the most essential things from it, and only afterwards, if they reach the desired state of health and joy, they can move further and transmit this light to other people. And it's vital, absolutely vital for us in the city, as Moscow is a rather hard place to live in. It has too much struggle.
It's a normal Sunday morning. The Orthodox Church of St. Trinity in Moscow center. After a long period of bans and persecution during the Soviet era, churches have reopened. Since olden times, Russian Orthodox churches have been a place of repentance, where for centuries the Russian soul could find peace and escape temporal vanity. The choir